Chapter 6. The 5 kids got up on their knees and listened. There it is again. Hear it? I do. We're rescued. All 5 kids scrambled out the door. Dink turned on the flashlight and began waving it toward the sky. They stood in a circle looking up and listening. Nothing. I know I heard it. Maybe it'll come back. Dink shut off the flashlight. Wind blew snow into their faces. Their boots made squeaking noises on the frozen snow. There it is again. I hear it. It sounds like a helicopter. I hear it too, Ruth Rose said. Then they all heard it, but Marshall was the first to see it. Over there, he yelled. They all saw tiny blinking lights moving across the sky. They might have been fireflies, except for the thud of the blades. It is a helicopter. It's the president looking for us. Do you think they can see us? I don't know. Dink waved a light wildly over his head. We need more light, Josh said. Let's make a bonfire. With what? And we don't have any matches. Look inside the van. Some of the floor stuff should burn. Guys, we need matches. Josh raced to the van's passenger door and tore it open. He found some papers Dink had left on the seat. Any matches in there? No, but there's a cigarette lighter. Josh punched it in and waited, and then it popped out. It works. Why don't we burn that wooden crate? We could break it apart. The kids worked frantically. They tugged the crate out of the van's rear door. Dink grabbed some tools from a shelf, and they were able to smash the crate into boards. Kick some snow into a big circle. When that was done, Josh lit a few of the papers, then threw on some decorations from inside the van. They added splinters, then small boards from the crate. Soon they had a bonfire that lit up the area behind the van. Now just come back, helicopter, Josh said. The kids waited, warmed by the fire. No one spoke. Everyone was watching the black sky. Ashes flew upward, melting the snowflakes. Wait, what's that? A star, Dink said. It's not moving. Josh dragged blankets from inside the van and they all sat. Dink felt his face warm up. 10 minutes went by without another sound from the sky. Be nice to have a few s'mores, Marshall commented. Be nice to have one huge marshmallow, Josh said. You'd have to share it 5 ways, Ruth Rose told him. Dink added more wood to the fire. He was sure the orange and yellow flames could be seen from miles away if anyone in a helicopter was looking down, if there even was a helicopter. Josh tossed the last few boards onto the bonfire. We're out of wood. I wonder if there are any dead tree branches around here. I think we're surrounded by woods, Dink said, but I'm not going looking in the dark. We need something that will burn for a long time, Casey said. The van's rear doors had been left open. The spare tire. Will that burn? Yeah, it's rubber. It'll make black smoke. In a minute, they had dragged the tire out of the van. Josh and Casey rolled into the fire. The rubber caught fire, and soon dark smoke and flames were billowing up into the sky. But the new fire smelled so bad, the kids were forced to move their blankets 20 feet away. Right away, their warm faces felt chilled. The fire roared for a while, then settled into hissing and crackling. No one saw or heard the helicopter again. Guys, we should go inside and sleep. If a helicopter flies over, they'll see the fire. Nobody wanted to give up, but they were all freezing. They grabbed the blankets and crawled into the van. Josh pulled the doors closed as tightly as he could. He wound some string around the handles to keep the cold out. Now that the spare tire and crate were gone, there was room to stretch out. Dink kept the flashlight on only long enough for everyone to get settled. You know, if we weren't lost and freezing and starving to death, this would be fun, Josh said. Dink laughed out loud, but inside he wanted to cry. His father would be sick with worry. Good night, you guys, Dink said. Dink dreamed about Christmas morning back home in Green Lawn, Connecticut. He saw their tree and the presents beneath it, one gift for his mom, one for his dad, but none of the presents had his name on it. He sat up with his heart thumping faster than normal. Where was he? Then he felt the lump of Josh's body next to his, and he remembered. It felt like a nightmare, but he knew it was all real. He, Josh, and Ruth Rose were trapped in a snowbank in the middle of nowhere with the president's stepdaughter and her friend. Her dog had disappeared out in the cold. No one knew where they were. Dink shook his head to clear away the depressing thoughts. He tossed his blanket over Josh and crawled toward the van's rear doors. Everyone was fast asleep as he unwound the string Josh had used to keep the doors closed. He pushed them open and peeked out. The fire was just red ashes now. The tire was completely burned, leaving the metal rim charred and black. At least it had stopped snowing. Dink hopped to the ground and closed the doors behind him. He stretched and looked up. The sky was clear. Dink smiled when he saw the moon. Its glow lit the snow all around him. Dink walked closer to the fire and checked his watch. It was nearly 10:30. Why did it feel like they'd been stuck out here for much longer? Firewood, he thought. Gotta get this fire blazing again. He knew people were out looking for them, and the fire would lead them there. He turned toward the black ring of trees around the clearing where the van had landed. No way was he going there. Instead, Dink headed toward the road, remembering that he had seen a small grove of trees there. He crunched over the snow, sinking almost knee deep with each step. Josh was right. This could be fun if it weren't so awful. He reached the trees and got down on his knees to break off some of the lower branches. He heard something and looked up between two thick branches. Shadows were moving along the road. Behind the shadows came two people with the moon low behind them. They were walking along the road, heading in his direction. Dink almost stood up, but then he recognized something about the smaller figure. It was Joe Payne's hat, white with a red ball on top. Dink shrank down into the snow like a rabbit hiding from a fox. Joe Payne and her tall companion were 20 feet away and coming closer. Dink wriggled deep into the snow and prayed they wouldn't look into the trees. The two stopped where the van had gone off the road. Happened right here, Joe Payne whispered. It was like I was on ice. The next thing I remember was waking up in the back of my van with a headache. There were blankets over me. That was when I realized I had driven off with a bunch of kids along with the dog. The other person grunted. Then Dink saw him pull off his gloves and light a cigarette. He tossed the match into the snow. 10 feet away, Dink smelled the smoke. I heard the kids talking, Joe Payne went on. When they all left, I made a leash for the dog and got out of there. How'd you manage to let the dog get away? The man asked. Ace, I didn't let it get away. How was I supposed to know that thing could chew through a rope? The man coughed. Well, it'll be dead by morning. I heard the howling again last night. That dog will be no match for a pack of hungry coyotes. Coyotes! Dink squeezed his eyes shut. He tried to remember what he'd seen on TV about coyotes. Do they eat people? I never meant to harm the president's dog, the woman said. I just wanted the money. Don't sweat over the dog. The new plan will bring more money. We've got the president's daughter. He pulled 2 ski masks from a pocket and handed one to Joe. Here, put this on, he ordered. They'll all be asleep. You grab the girl since you know what she looks like. I'll tie up the others. Where will we hide her? We can't put her in your cabin. By morning, there will be cops and FBI and who knows what else searching all over this valley. Dink felt himself shivering. His teeth chattered so loud he was sure the 2 kidnappers would hear him. He was freezing, but he couldn't move. That old hunting shack by the pond behind my cabin. No one knows it's there. It's in some trees. Can't even see it from my windows. A perfect place for the kid. What about the other 4? I don't know. Let's just get the president's kid and worry about the other brats later. Ace, I don't like this plan, Joe Payne said. You got a better idea, he asked. Yes. We go to your cabin and get your truck. We drive it back here, take the president's kid, blindfold the others. After we lock the girl in the shack, I'll stay there. You drive the other 4 back to Maple Crossing. It's only a couple miles. There are phones there. They'll deliver our message to the president. $2 million for the kid. That's $1 million for each of us. Okay, I guess that makes sense, Ace said. Then I'll bury the van in the snow with my plow. It'll be 6 months before anyone finds it. By then, we'll be far away and rich. Different names, maybe even different faces. Goodbye, Virginia. Hello, Mexico. He flipped his cigarette. It landed 2 feet from Dink's face. Come on, the man said. We got stuff to do. Dink raised his head a few inches and watched the couple walk away. He scuttled out of his hiding place and found the half-smoked cigarette and put it in his pocket. Maybe Joe Payne's fingerprints would get wiped off the van, but Dink had the man's prints in his pocket.